depending how many past clients you've got from how many years, this could be something that we do, between now and Christmas per week. Maybe just try to conduct 1 a day, 5 a week. We have a tendency to breathe and relax, which is okay to some extent, like last weekend, but then we got to get back to work, because what we do now is what effectuates results for us in the leaner winter months of like November, December, and January and February. And we know that we always have to work our sphere of influence. And that usually in our sphere of influence are those people that we know, that know who we are, at least by name. They're acquaintances that would at least recognize our name out there, right? And that's our sphere of influence. And we know that we need to contact them through an annual database, SOI database contact plan, a certain number of times throughout the year, right? So we're always trying to email them, connect with them on social media, send them some mailers from time to time, call them on the phone, text them, et cetera, so that we stay first of mind. Now, I know a lot of you have heard that before, but what I want to show you today is a new way to do that adds a lot of value at this time of year. And we call them an annual property analysis. We can work it with everyone in our SOI, but especially our past clients. Those people that are our past clients, doing an annual property analysis is really relevant to real estate. It's not salesman-y. It adds a lot of value, and it really keeps you in front of your people. But most importantly, it generates a lot of leads right now in shocking fashion. Because one thing that Albert just mentioned, he said, hey, how do we get the message out there that the market's hot? Well, this is a way to do it, especially to people that have property to sell or want to move up. So this is actually a perfect segue into this, because here's a way we can do it in a way that we can align getting that messaging out with lead generating, because most people don't realize the market is so hot right now, that there is no inventory, huge buyer demand, prices skyrocketing. If they were to be aware of that and know what they could get for their real estate that they own, they might make some different decisions, but many do not know, because once again, the media often gets distracted on other issues like pandemics and elections and things like that. So it's up to us to earn our own keep, if you will. Okay. The idea, what we'll call this, is a annual property analysis, or a real estate property analysis, whatever we want to call it. But we're going to talk about what that looks like and the scripts that we're going to use with our past clients to conduct these and generate more business, right? And this is going to be a way that we actually continue to stay in front of our people, make our annual contacts, make ourselves look more like a professional, make ourselves feel like we add customer service after the transaction is closed, that we're a realtor for life, that they continue to use us going forward, right? And it continues to get us mind share with our SOI. So we're always rebranding ourselves, because on an annual basis, we are reaching out to them, meeting with them, and giving them a virtual appraisal on what their real estate, whether it be their house or even their rentals too, look like. And that's a big value that actually they have a lot of it. Not everyone will go for it, and that's cool. At least offer it though. But a lot will want it. They'll need it. They'll appreciate it. And if you do that for them at least once, maybe twice, the idea that they'll ever use someone else to buy real estate gets very remote, because they know that you monitor their real estate for them, that you watch it for them, that you keep them up to date, and that your customer service does not go away and stop after a transaction closes. Which is what happens to a lot of agents. A lot of agents do a very good job of providing customer service until the transaction closes. And then because they're so afraid to ever call anybody or bother anybody, they never call them again. And what they don't realize is that is perceived as having no customer service after you took the money and ran, right? So what we're talking about doing is continuing to add value, real value, not just a calendar magnet. This is tangible value that helps them with their real estate needs. So it's very relevant to what you do too. So therefore, it's not going to be received as salesman-y, if you will. In a nutshell, what I'm talking about is we are going to reach out to everyone in your sphere of influence that is a past client, okay? Even if it's clients from 2-3 years ago. And we're going to actually let them know that we would like to schedule an annual review of their real estate. And that's very simple. It's a very brief video conference. So, and you don't even have to be on the screen, but I just need to be able to show you my screen so I can actually show you what your real estate's worth, how it's performing for you, what your options are, so that you have a good understanding about some of your largest assets. It should only take a few minutes. And this is why we need to be very good at Zoom, guys. I mean, not good at Zoom like, I can log in and work it like you are right now. I mean, you got to be fast with it. If you have a conversation, you should be able to text someone a link right off your phone so that they can just click on it and be in a Zoom conference with you. You have to be that adept. Being good at Zoom or video conference has nothing to do with how well you are once you get on it, right? I mean, it's not that complex, but how quick are you with it for conversion processes? If you're talking to someone, the name of the game is to convert that someone, that phone conversation, let's say, into an appointment. So right now, you better be fast and disciplined at converting into a Zoom appointment. Because guess what? Talking like this, one-on-one, showing them my screen, showing them the property analysis I did or a CMA I did on their property, visually, is going to be much, much more effective at growing and building rapport, advancing our relationship, tying them closer to me as their realtor of choice for life. It's going to happen a lot better in person. And this is the best we can do with in person, oftentimes. And guess what? Even if it's not, even if this is like, not in a pandemic, this is sure a lot faster and easier. And if I'm on the receiving end of your communication, I would rather have this than having to deal with meeting you in person somewhere. Does that make sense? So being good at Zoom is definitely a new normal. When I say being good, I mean you need to convert into it quick. So if they like email, you better be able to send them an email link quick. If they like text, you better be able to text them a link. Remember, the audience controls the communication method, not you, if you want them to receive your communications well, okay? So very important to be able to text them or email them very quickly so we can convert a phone call into a Zoom meeting, okay? So we're gonna start with the phone call, and then we're going to invite them, which we're gonna talk about the scripts to do that, into a Zoom meeting, and then we're going to conduct an annual review of their home because they are your past client, right? And in that situation, here's what I'm gonna do for you guys. I am gonna share a file with you so that you all can have a copy of this as well too. Because this is something I'd be doing, depending how many past clients you've got from how many years, this could be something that we do, between now and Christmas, where we're starting to try to conduct a certain number of property and, annual property analyses per week. Maybe just try to conduct one a day, 5 a week, for the next 4 months. 4 months, that's 16 weeks. 16 weeks times 5, carry the 1. And yes, I do have a calculator like this because I'm going blind. But 16 times 5, that means you would conduct 80 annual property reviews with 80 of your best past clients between now and Christmas. And when Albert said, hey, how do we get the message out? This is how you really get the message out. You shock your past clients with how much their real estate is worth. They'll be like, what? I could get that for that? Well, maybe we do want to make that move now. I didn't realize I'd pull that much equity out of it. They're shocked. It blows them away when you tell them, and your customer service blows them away because you're sitting down. You're the one agent that is taking the time to sit down and do an analysis with them. It's something you want to do every year with every one of your past clients. So it's just a part of your customer service. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see. And this is your annual property reviews form. And this is something we do with all of our coaching clients at ICC. So towards the end of the year, we're really pushing our final contact on our sphere of influence. We're trying to get people to reach out, all their past clients, and sit down and doing this annual property review or analysis with them, right? And we talked about some of the benefits and goals of doing this, right? And then we talk about what we're going to include in that analysis here, right? So we want to go from big picture to small picture. And what that might mean, like if I live in Los Angeles, I might show them all of, some California state housing trends, right? Some of the things that the California Association of Realtors provides about housing prices, housing inventory, statistics, things like that. And then we start zooming into close. Like let's say I live in Ventura, California, which is a portion of Los Angeles. I might show some Southern California stats, move into LA County, all the way down into like Ventura. You might even show Ventura versus Oxnard, which is like the neighboring city for those of you that don't know. So you start showing some local stats too. That's where we start putting out CMAs, comparative market analysis. housing inventory reports, all those things that your local association of realtors or even your multiple listing service or even your local office will provide you. You'll be shocked. I mean, we're used to seeing it, so we take it for granted. However, if we turn around and put some context behind that and use them to explain in a screen share just like this, in a Zoom conference with our clients every year, how are we that much different, look up here, than a doctor, accountant, or financial advisor that meets on a regular basis for a checkup or a review? I don't know about you, but I've got a dentist. I don't choose my dentist every year. I got a freaking dentist. I use him every year. I have an accountant too. I use him every year. I don't choose a different accountant every year. Now, for some reason, because real estate agents are really bad at following up with customer service because they're afraid to reach out to people, even if it is for customer service, because they don't want to appear like a salesman, we don't have that ongoing professional relationship unless we do these types of things, unless we continue to add value and provide service to them. So we need to get over ourselves and our fears about reaching out because we're worried we're going to bother somebody, right? We're not going to bother people. We're going to add value. And then what we're going to do is break down their home. So we're going to zoom all the way into their home and do a CMA for it, show their neighborhood, have discussions about some of the homes that their neighbors have sold, kind of point those out, say, hey, here's your neighbor's home. Now we're talking real hyper local, like we are into their neighborhood. We're talking about some of the homes that have sold in the last 3 or 4 months, what that has done to the average price per square foot maybe in their neighborhood. And then we start talking about assessing the value of their house. Have they done any work to it? Have they made any improvements to it? Things like that. And then we start talking about their home. We start asking what they owe to find out how much equity they have in it. And then we start having future-facing conversations. Is this your forever home? Or, is there something more you want? Because right now you got so much equity, you could probably go get it if you want it, right? But if not, you don't. That type of thing. There's options to refi it, pull cash out, buy more investments. Maybe they want to buy more investments. All those conversations start to come out because we've done a deep dive into their biggest asset or assets if they already own rentals, right? They trust us. They appreciate that. These conversations then come forth because we've decided to do this property analysis on an annual basis with them every single year, right? So very, very, very important for us to start conducting these and getting smooth at them. Again, it's a phone call that we convert to Zoom, and then it's just being able to screen share and have a conversation with them. You will be shocked at the response from this and how professional you seem because you're doing this. Okay, any questions, thoughts about this?
I just think it's fascinating. The dentists don't apologize for, reminding you for a checkup.
Oh, no kidding.
In fact, they actually give you a guilt trip. If you're like, you're not coming in for a checkup. I mean,
you don't care about your teeth.
Yeah.
Your mouth. Right. That's totally right. And I don't know. I mean, your home, I think, is right up there with teeth. It's shelter. It's hard to get by without shelter. You can get by without teeth.
There's a lot of flavors of pudding that you could, which would be viable alternatives.
So anyway, to me, that is, that becomes our essential thing with this. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to screen share with you really quick. I want to show you some scripts that we can use here. And this is in the attachment that I put up in the group chat. And you can see I put it right here in steps under number 5 on that page. So again, you've got this if you downloaded it, which I hope you do. But I'll put it up in front of you. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? Hi, John. This is Brian over at Keller Williams Realty. How are you today? Great to hear that. I have a quick message for you. Is this an okay time? Great. Then we're going to move into Ford, right? And Ford, remember, is a model that references family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? Before we get to the purpose of my call, how are things progressing at work, or however you know them, right? So basically your connection to them, whatever you're supposed to know about them, maybe it's because you've been following them on Facebook. Let's ask a question about them and just use the Ford formula to kind of trigger your thought process to think of something. Oftentimes, this is why staying in touch with people on Facebook or Instagram is so crucial, because that helps you learn and continue to learn about them over time, even though you're not in front of them. So it's almost like studying humans. If you are staying in touch with your SOI and you have them grouped in a list on Facebook, so you're constantly interacting with them. Again, that's a separate course, that's separate chaining. But again, that's why we're trying to do it, right? Then we move into step 3, which is actually the purpose of your call, right? And you say, as part of my ongoing service to you, I try to meet with our clients once a year and review the value of your real estate holdings. Again, if you know they just have a house, say the value of your home and the value of your property. I've actually already prepared a packet of info for you and love to invite you to a quick 5-minute Zoom call where I can show you the new value of your home. And again, if you feel like we can move into it right now, say, hey, do you have time for that right now? If not, when would be a good time for us to get together? Like I've got here in the script. Again, I am not particular to my scripts. I am not one of those guys that says use my scripts verbatim. It's not who I am. You talk like you talk, okay? But you get the gist of this, so you can modify this any way you want to modify it. But the whole point is to convert them into a quick Zoom call, which will really only take 5 minutes if they don't ask questions. Now, you and I both know they're gonna ask a ton of questions, so it's probably gonna end up being a 30-minute call. But that's because they're engaged, right? And they want that call, right? So if for some reason they say no to you, which a lot will, because people just have a general tendency to say no because they're busy or whatever they're going through, that's okay. You can still send them the packet. You know what I mean? That way because now you're giving them your annual review. And trust me, if you provide them with all of that top-down research like we talked about, which shouldn't be a lot because you're going to use the same, national and state data for everybody. So you'll have those saved as PDFs. Typically, you're going to have the same MLS from your local city and county for everybody you call too. So it's really going to be a different CMA for each of your past clients based on the property they currently own or live in. So that's the only difference. So if you have time to run them a quick CMA, now that's all the only thing you add to your standard packet, and you can email the whole packet to them. You could drop it by, you can mail it, all of the above. Either way, you're making a big touch, one of your many touches you need to make in your SOI annual database contact plan. And if they see it and look at it, they realize you've done all that work for them. And the minute you start having done work for them, now they have an obligation, or at least an increased obligation, to continue to use you for their real estate needs because you're the one providing that customer service and continuing to add value, and they're receiving that information, which in sense is like a social acknowledgement that we are like this going forward. So that's the idea. So basically we're trying to convert it. Plan A is let's try to convert that Zoom call right now. Plan B is schedule a time for it later. Plan C is let's send them a packet. Down below, we talk about building your packet, create a nice cover page for it. If you're gonna give it to them physically, have it in some sort of nice little binder, or at least put it all in the same PDF, right? So it's one digital file that you can send to everybody, maybe with the CMA separate, because you're gonna use different CMAs for all your clients. So everybody gets a packet and the CMA, okay? Because that way it'll make your life very easy emailing these to people that for whatever reason you can't get on a Zoom conference. Questions?
I did have a question for because I know that's going to be like a year out basically for your clients, but for people like me who haven't even been doing this for a year, how would we kind of do something similar to that for would we just kind of do it for our SOI, try to get their addresses and their homes and kind of do something for them? Okay.
Yeah, definitely for your SOIs. There's no doubt about that. It doesn't have to be a house you sold them, Dan.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's something we do for all of our clients and customers, and I want to offer that to you. That's the script I would use.
Makes sense.
William threw in the chat, as an ex-financial advisor that William was, you would do quarterly reviews of the client's portfolio. How much more important is it to do a quarterly annual review of most clients' most expensive asset? Right. You could actually do that on a much more regular basis if it's feasible. I agree with you, William. I mean, this is a very minimum level of customer service out there. So if you feel like you're being pushy with people by reaching out and offering the service, man, and I bet you, William, as a financial advisor, those conversations that you had in those reviews typically generated a lot of business. Like they typically wanted, they would buy mutual funds in that. That's because that's when we're talking about it. That's when they would make those decisions. So they're going to see that, when you have these conversations with people right in front of you, you're going to see their wheels start to turn, and they're going to start to say things like, maybe I should move up. It does sound like a good time because you're getting in this conversation. I mean, you're getting their mind thinking about their biggest asset.
In a typical world, let's say we were just living in normal reality here where prices go up 1% to 2% every year, right? I'm thinking in real estate, if we're going to treat this like a financial check-in, if we're going to treat it like a dentist treats checkup appointments, right? I'm thinking less than a year is probably not going to give it enough time for anything to,
That's true. I do want to correct and say 4% a year is the national average for the last 50 years. So I do want to say but you're right. Doing it twice a year is probably a little bit, there's not going to be enough change,
Right, to make it intriguing. Yeah.
Right. However, I will say, right now is very unique because we're coming out of this, well, we're not coming out of anything, but this coronavirus, a lot of people like trying to give them a valuation of their assets right now. A lot of people probably are very curious as to, what their assets look like right now. And like we've talked about, this will surprise them when they realize they've been doing nothing but going up in value. They're going to be a little bit shocked about that. So in light of, the recent pandemic and financial circumstances happening globally, we felt like it was a good time to reach out and give people an analysis of their real estate holdings. Oftentimes we find it puts them at ease, or at the very least, educates them and surprises them on what they didn't know and what's been going on. So yeah, doing an annual review, you're reaching out to your most important people, which is the sphere of influence, which 80% of all business conducted in real estate in the United States through an agent, the lead source is through agent's SOI. Okay, so all the different ways to generate business out there, 80% of it will come from your SOI. So there's nothing more important than reaching out to your SOI. Every top agent gets the bulk of their business from the SOI. Every agent. It's the most important contact you can make. Number two, you provide customer service and you make yourself look a lot more professional, and you tighten your relationship with that person. So even though you may feel like they'll use you all the time, now they're going to actually go a step further with it, and they'll probably start referring business to people they know to expand your SOI into the people that your SOI members know. And each SOI member, let's say they know a couple hundred people, boy, your SOI could grow exponentially. Your SOI of 200 people starts jumping out. If they all know 200 people, we get out to 40,000 people in a hurry. So we expand our target market by making ourselves appear with the highest level of customer service and care for our agents' well-being, financial well-being, and assets.